morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, I am bringing you news of another exciting new card coming in the upcoming Ultra Prism expansion. It's Volkner. And given that earlier today I brought you a video on Luxray, and Volkner is a gym leader, Sunnyshore's Gym if you're wondering, who's at least one of his signature Pokemon being Luxray, I think this is pretty gosh darn cool. But I suppose the real question becomes, what does Volkner actually do? Well, Volkner allows you to search your deck for a lightning energy and an item card and put them into your hand. And a quick reminder for newer players that cards like Rainbow Energy that count as a lightning energy only do when attached. We're talking basic lightning energy only. And when I first saw this card translated by the lovely Rappelman TCG on Facebook, go and check him out, he is great, David Hockman, wonderful man, I first thought of Cyrus's Conspiracy. Now, old players will know that this was a ridiculously widely played card which allowed you to search for a basic energy and an item card, but it had to be a Team Galactic's item card, but it also let you get a supporter card. So what you would do here is you would use a Cyrus's Conspiracy to grab an energy and an item card that had Team Galactic's invention in its name. This is when trainer meant item, whereas nowadays trainer is a blanket term and item is separate. And you would grab a Cyrus's Conspiracy ready to do it again the next turn. This is just an item and an energy, but it is any item that you like. Now, there are several uses for this. One of them, of course, means that you can just guarantee an energy. You can just go and grab yourself an energy on turn one at any time nowadays. That we talk about a supporter card, we've got to mention Tapu Lele GX. The Wonder Tag ability allowing you to just grab it from the deck when you pop a Tapu Lele down. And of course, you can always use an Ultra Ball to go and grab yourself a Tapu Lele. So we've got searchable energy, which is quite nice. So one thing I really like here is searching on turn one for an energy in a Float Stone. That way you can get the Pokemon that you don't want in the active out of the active and attach an energy. Problem is with this, of course, that you usually want a Bridget. Because you can search yourself a Raikou from Shining Legends and a lightning energy. Raikou's got the brilliant first attack, does 30 damage, attaches a lightning energy from your discard to one of your bench Pokemon. The problem is that if you use this as your only supporter card for the turn, on turn one, you probably don't actually have a lightning energy in the discard to accelerate using Raikou. And you probably don't have a Raikou. And you probably don't have a Pokemon on the bench to whom you really want to accelerate a lightning energy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, really makes a mockery of my whole turn one for a Float Stone and an energy. In theory, using Volkner to search for a lightning energy and a Float Stone essentially guarantees you've got the right Pokemon in the active. Maybe turn one Bridget, turn two Volkner could be a good thing. But I worry it doesn't quite do enough. One use I will give you that I really like for Volkner is grabbing an energy and a counter catcher. You go down by a prize, you use a Volkner, probably using a Tapu Lele to search for said Volkner. You can then pop the energy on the Pokemon with whom you want to attack, use a counter catcher to grab one of your opponent's Pokemon from the bench into the active, and then get attacking. For this, I like it very much indeed. Or maybe you're being shut down by something like a Garbodor. So you search for a Field Blower and an energy. Get rid of that Field Blower, and then you've got an energy to attach as well. Let's face it, we had Steven previously, which allowed you to search for an energy and a supporter card, which was pretty nice. And people would use that just to search out the energy, just to have a supporter card that gave you searchable energy. However, that was really mostly played in Groudon. And the reason it was mostly played in Groudon is because Groudon was an incredibly slow deck, where really what you wanted was just to attach an energy every turn after you Primal Evolved. Okay? Do we have any lightning decks in this particular format where our main concern is just attaching an energy every turn such that Volkner would be great, and I'm not sure that we do, because something like Raichu GX really wants to get a lot of energy on the board quickly, because you do more damage depending on how much energy is on the field. Something like an Alolan Golem GX just needs a lot of energy, and your opponent's got stuff like Guzma that they can use to drag it off the bench. The other thing that Primal Groudon had that meant you could play something like Steven just to search for an energy was the fact that you had that Omega Barrier ancient trait, meaning your opponent couldn't play a Lysandre or something to drag it in the active, so you could afford to just use Steven to search for an energy. My worry here is extremely simple. I don't know that you really have any decks in the format where having supporter-based energy search is really great. But that's okay, because you also get the item, which leads us to the obvious question of, is this better than Skyla? Because Skyla basically says you can search your deck for any trainer card and put it into your hand. And unlike the old Cyrus card, when we're talking trainer card, we mean any trainer card, supporter, item, etc. And the thing that Skyla allows you to do is grab yourself a supporter. And it's not ideal to have to play a Skyla to grab yourself a Professor Sycamore. But if you've got nothing, this could work very nicely indeed. You can't do that with Volkner. It's an item and an energy. Now, of course, there's ways around this. You could grab a random receiver. Random receiver allows you to reveal cards on the top of your deck until you find a supporter, and then you put it into your hand. The problem is, nowadays, we're all playing supporters like Guzma and Ace Roller, so playing a random receiver doesn't guarantee you a draw supporter. Now, of course, you could always just grab yourself an Ultra Ball, and then next turn use that Ultra Ball to grab yourself a Professor Lele, and then you've got a supporter. Brilliant! But then you're using up a bench space that you wouldn't be using if you just played a Skyla. But you do get the basic energy. There is an argument that this is better than Skyla. I think overall, if you push me for an answer, and let's face it, I'm making a video, I pose a question, I should probably give you lovely people an answer. No, I don't think it's better than Skyla. I think getting an item and an energy card is great. And I think that any time you just want an item card, Volkner is better than Skyla. The problem is there will be some turns where you want a supporter card. And the issue with that is Skyla gets it, Volkner kind of gets it in an awkward roundabout fashion. Plus, I suppose I should mention that you can only use this in a deck that uses lightning or colourless energy, otherwise it's kind of pointless. And the last real question here, and this is a big question, are you going to play this over something like N, Professor Sycamore, Guzma, etc.? And the answer is maybe, for niche situations. Grabbing a field blower, you might as well grab an energy at the same time, because, and this is something that people underrate in the Pokemon trading card game, if you search for an energy, not only do you have that energy in your hand, but you've now got one fewer cards in deck. So that means that next turn you are statistically slightly more likely to draw into the cards you want to draw into, because there are fewer cards in your deck. Nice bonus if you want a field blower. And let's face it, it is nice to be able to use a Tapu Lele to search yourself out an energy. Although I suppose you could always Lele for a Skyla for something like a Professor's Letter if you were feeling particularly fancy. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not convinced that this is actually an amazing card. I think it will see play. I think decks will use it. But I think it's going to be a very niche play by one or two players, rather than an outstanding card that is played by everybody. And for that reason, I'm giving it on the lower side of free Wassies. Free Wassie card, you need to have one in your binder. You need to be ready just in case. That's what I feel like with Volkner. I think occasionally somebody's going to play it, but I think it's going to be, it pops up in a deck occasionally from a player that uses it for a really specific reason. But if you disagree with me, great news, there's a comment section. And the usual rules apply. I would love you to go nuts, but I would ask you to be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. There will be a live stream at 7 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Make sure you come and join in. It's going to be a lot of fun, like it always is. If you'd like to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc., you can do so at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.